Following on to our video after DVLA announced upcoming changes for modified vehicles, today, 26th of August 2025, they have released the guidelines for what are going to be the new rules. So I thought it would be interesting if we took a look through them. What I'll do is the document INF 318, very exciting title. We'll scroll through it together and I can talk you through some of the highlights from where I've had a look through to see where I think this is going. So let's get going. So here we go. Guidance: making changes to a vehicle and registering kit built, kit converted and reconstructed classic vehicles. Now the reconstructed classics, I think you're going to find quite interesting because that is something I don't believe we were expecting. So if we scroll down, table of contents, just give you a brief overview, usual safety information, MOT a car if you modify it, etc. Part one is on repairs and restoration. Now we should be able to cover that fairly briefly. The second one is the one we're all interested in, this one about structural modifications and how they've changed the rules. And then they're on to kit builds, kit conversions, but we've covered that pretty much before. So we'll skip over the nice health and safety information saying all be careful, etc, etc. Part one of this document is repairs, restorations and structural modifications. And I can summarize this pretty simply, to be honest with you. Basically what they're saying is if you restore a vehicle back to its original condition with its original running gear, they're not really interested, to be blunt. They actually give a list, I'll scroll down, of all the things they, it's not an exhaustive list, but replacing boot floors, footwells, steering, suspension, gearbox. And interestingly, the one that caught my eye was removing the existing roll bar or roll cage fitted post manufacture. It says any attachment holes left after removal must be welded over. Now if you remember the first video, I referenced a Mini which had been converted to EV, I know, but the owner had lost the V5 because he put two holes through from the boot to the main compartment to run the EV cables through, and DVLA decided that was a modification to the monocoque to the extreme where they wouldn't even allow him to weld them up and reroute the cables elsewhere. So they have definitely rolled back on that kind of lunacy. So there does definitely seem to be a sensible pill coming in. The only area on this where they have a bit of a covenant is when you are replacing the whole body shell. Now whether that's with a heritage shell, if it's something like a Mini or an MGB, or if you are using a second-hand shell to replace, say, a very rotten one. They are interested in that and they want to see a trial of the ID of the replacement vehicle if it's a second-hand one, and receipts of a new one if it's a new one, etc, etc. So they have got a little bit of an eye on that one, but overall it appears they're not particularly interested, which is, I think, great news from people who are just doing restorations. Structural modifications, this is the bit we're really interested in. It says in its reference, you must notify DVLA when a vehicle has undergone a structural modification. This must be done using the form Modified Vehicle Statement V627/3. Now, anyone who's built a kit car and put it through IVA will be familiar with form V627/1, which is the sort of build-up report you have to send in. This one, to be honest, is a lot simpler. We'll go on to that in a minute, but I just want to cover what the areas are that they are looking at regarding a structural modification, and it's particularly regarding cutting into the chassis or the monocoque, and that's where they sort of seem to have their focus. Now the interesting thing is when you go down where it says examples of structural modifications for cars and light goods vehicles, it's, could include but not limited to lengthening, shortening, widening a vehicle chassis or monocoque body shell to accommodate a different shape or style of body shell. So let's hit that one briefly. There are a lot of kit cars, for example, out there that use either Triumph Herald, Triumph Spitfire chassis, more recently Skimmer GTEs. The way I read that without an IVA, they're quite happy for you to chop and change that chassis. That's the way it reads to me, that if you want to adjust the size of the chassis to make it fit a certain body shell, fill your boots. Where were we? Appearance from, change the vehicle's specification or appearance from a coupe to a roadster, or changing the appearance of a car or van to resemble a pickup. Now, I've got some sort of history with one of these. I come across a chap, we did a video a couple of years ago. I'll see if I can find the footage and drop it in, or at least the picture. And he built a pickup from a VW Borer using an American kit called, I think it's a company called Smiths that produced them. Basically, it came over in a big crate, all the parts. He built it up, wrote to DVLA and told them what he'd done. And they went, yeah, that's absolutely fine. Carry on. To be fair, he made a really nice job of it. No problem at all. Carried on with the same registration number. 2 years later, DVLA write to him and say, sorry, we've changed our mind. We're revoking the registration document for that vehicle, and you've got to put it through an IVA. So for 2 years it was fine, and then all of a sudden they'd reviewed it and decided it wasn't. Luckily, because it was so well built and obviously a lot of original parts in there, he was able to put it through IVA, and that vehicle went on the road. But that did seem a remarkable U-turn, and so does this. That they're seeming, as I understand it, is you make it a pickup and just tell DVLA and carry on. Anyway, just rolling down, cutting one or more roof pillars and lengthening or shortening them. Basically roof chops, that's talking about. Removing the roof. Well, it's just 3 words there, but I'm just gobsmacked because, we all know if you cut the roof off a saloon car or even a 2-door one, you are compromising the strength of that chassis, assuming it's a monocoque, considerably. It's the roof that stops it folding in half. So without considerable strengthening, so it seems very liberal, this, but hey-ho. Removing an integrated roll cage. I think that's referring to some of these fiberglass cars that have got the roll cage as part of the roof structure and so on. I think that's where that's going. Scroll down a bit more. Modifying the design of load-bearing subframes and removing load-bearing subframes or support members. I think this is where maybe what's like some of these rear-engine minis that have got no subframe, but they've got double wishbone suspension that is completely different to what was there originally. Making any additional holes within 30 centimetres from any suspension, steering, braking or seatbelt mounting point. Well, we all know about that because that's a common MOT failure on old rusty cars. And then motorcycles and tricycle, they do reference motorcycle modifications here. I'm not really going to touch on that. I'll leave that to someone else. And finally, conversion to electric propulsion, and there's some quite interesting side effects on that, which I'll come to in a minute. So we'll skip over the motorcycles very, very briefly. Similar to the cars, it depends how much you sort of change the chassis. Has it affected the strength of where people sit, etc., etc. It also talks about trike conversion. So there's obviously quite a lot you could go into there, but I'm going to concentrate on the cars. Now, I think this. Excuse me. Oh dear me. Hang on. Now, I think there's a very interesting bit here. It's over 2 pages, but this is the core bit. With EV conversions, in that original press release, they said anything before 2001 could be transferred to an EV class. Now, VED back in those days was for cars was either basically under 1500cc or 1549cc and over 1549cc. This is saying is anything from March 2001, when VED was based on emissions, it's basically got to stick with that. So even if you convert a modern car to EV, it will still be taxed based on its taxation when it was new. So the radical example, 2007 RX-8 Mazda. As we know, rotary engines can go pop. You go, great, I'm going to go and put an EV conversion in it. Fine. But you are still going to pay, I think it's like 650, 700, the VED on those at the moment, which is a heck of a lot of money for an EV a car that's been EV converted. So that's just one point to watch over. Be interested to see if they do change that in the future. But interestingly, they really have not come down on the side of the EV guys there. Touch on MOT requirements for modification. It only seems to touch on here about when you submit your form, you need to have the car MOT, whether it's over or under 40 years old. In the press release, it was saying that any vehicle modified over 40 years old had to be MOT'd. So there may well be some clarification on that. So I'll tell you what we'll do. I'm going to hop across and bring up form V627/3. Now this is your modified vehicle statement. So basically you've modified your vehicle. You'll have to complete this form, send it into DVLA, and then it only seems to suggest within the document that they're just going to send you back a revised V5 with notes on it, but we'll come to that fully in a sec. So just to explain to you what's on this document, as you scroll down, name, address, all those kind of things, it then has this very simple box arrangement where you just put across by what you've done, and it's just basically the same categories as I've talked through. So you put across that you've removed the roof, and off you go. There's a big box at the bottom, which is if you've done structural modifications which are not in the notes above, or if you've done an EV conversion, so you have to put the details in of that. And that seems to be it. It's asking for supporting documents. So the completed modified vehicle statement, so that's the form you're actually filling it in on. The current V5 registration document, the supporting evidence from an owner's club. Now that comes to the classic car Reconstructed, which we'll come on to in a minute, which is the really most interesting bit. An MOT obtained following the completion of the modifications, and motorcycle single vehicle approval, obviously, motorbike. You sign the form, date it, and send it off. That seems to be it, which doesn't seem, they're not asking for photos or any engineering drawings or anything. You just seem to send this form off, and they, as long as they're happy with the ID, they'll send you a new V5 back. Well, that's the way I read it. I can't see any different. There's not anything that says they're going to require more information. So just scrolling down the rest of this main document to come to the really exciting bit on classic cars. Q registrations, again, if they're not satisfied with the identity, for example, if you've reshelled something and they've got questions about the identity of the shell you've used, because they can't trace a history to it, or it's not a brand new one, you may well get a Q plate, and all the reasons you guys out there know why you're going to get a Q plate. We'll scroll down to the next bit. That's replacement for motorcycles. We'll scroll on with that. So what happens next? So you filled in your V627/3. It basically says, providing there are no concerns over a vehicle's identity, a structurally modified vehicle will keep its original VIN and registration number. Yippee! A new V5C will be issued to reflect any changes to the vehicle details. And that's it. An explanation will also be included in the special notes section of the V5C that the vehicle has been modified from its original manufacturer's specification. It's not dissimilar to my kit car on the V5. It's got a note, I can't remember exactly what it says, regarding the fact that it's been made from parts of another car. And they're saying the three classes are going to be rebuilt, modified, and electric conversion. So we'll go over, pass over kit builds, kit conversions, because we know basically what they are. Kit built vehicles are ones built from a complete kit of brand new parts. Kit conversions are, like my kit car, I had a Ford Sierra, took the parts off, the running gear out of it, put it into a new chassis supplied by a kit car manufacturer, and then got it re-registered. Reconstructed classics. This for me, I think is actually quite an exciting bit, because I don't think the system was as straightforward as this appears. And there's a new class of vehicle, which I don't believe was there before, called old vehicles, in amongst all the kit builds and so on the DVLA website. Now, as you're probably aware, older cars that aren't on the DVLA website can be sometimes a challenge to retain that original registration number and things like that. And this is where the input from clubs and that comes on. But I'll go over the first bit. Basically, it's coming up with this reconstructed classics category, and they must be composed of genuine components that are over 25 years old and of the same specification. Well, that doesn't read very well to me. Is it saying that everything on that car has to be at least 25 years old, or it can be a component the same as what was produced over 25 years ago? I think that's what it actually means. The appropriate vehicle enthusiasts for the club for the mark must confirm in writing, following inspection, they authenticate the vehicle is a true reflection. So this, again, is just aimed at unregistered classic vehicles. So if you've got something from 1952 that's not on the DVLA computer, it would be a way of getting that vehicle on the road, not necessarily with the original plate. I just want to clarify that. You then have all that information, you send it off written, you write off with the first vehicle tax, which would probably be free because it'd be historic, I imagine, possibly. And they'll issue an age-related registration number, which I imagine will be non-transferable. They're saying if you use a mix of new and used components, it will be issued with a Q plate, or in Northern Ireland a QNI registration number. It also says the vehicle must have an IVA. That's the only fly in the ointment. So you can get these older vehicles on, but they've got to go through an IVA. And I'm thinking, well, a 1952 car, for example, I don't know, a Sunbeam Talbot, is never going to get through IVA. So in one hand, they're offering out, you can get your old classic on the road. On the other hand, they're taking it away. So I'm not quite sure where they're heading in that one. It's a bit of a blurry to me. But yeah, that is, to be honest, pretty much it. It's saying what you've got to send in to make your applications go through. But this, bear in mind, is for the kit built, kit modified and reconstructed classics. And that's the document. I can't believe you are going to be able to do effectively whatever modifications you want to do, fill in a form, send it off to DVLA, and they're just going to send it back saying, yeah, fine, that's modified. They've gone from one extreme of that Mini of saying, right, you've drilled 2 holes in it, we'll take the V5 away and no, you can't fill the holes in, to basically saying you can cut the roof off that Mini and just send the form off and it'll be fine. This all seems like this. I feel like we're missing something. I could be wrong, but it'll be interesting. I'd love to hear from anyone who kicks off going through this process and see how they get on. Because do you literally just send it off and it comes back? Because if it does, you're opening the floodgates for people to do whatever they want with motor vehicles. And we're coming from a position where there was zero modification to monocoque cars particularly. You know, you couldn't, cut or shut anything within it. And you had the extreme with the IVA with the kit cars. So they had to meet a very high specification. And then suddenly, for the monocoque cars, it's all gone away. Fine, just chop it around and off you go. And I'm just thinking, this doesn't seem right. But hey, I hope you found that of interest. And as ever, if you have, please, give the old subscribe button down there a tickle for us. That would be appreciated. And I'll catch you next time.